ชื่อเจรจาตระกูลติดค่ะเริ่มจบพยาบาลเป็นพยาบาลที่ปฏิบัติงานพศ2505ค่ะเอกสารนั้นก็จะเป็นเอกสารเกี่ยวกับวิธีการปฏิบัติว่าจะทำยังไงที่จะส่งต่ออวัยวะที่มันขาดให้ถึงโรงพยาบาลเร็วที่สุดที่ถูกตัดเนี่ยจะต้องกดนะต้องใช้มือกดให้เลือดไม่บลีดนะคะไม่ออกมาก
บางครั้งคนไข้แต่ละคนที่เข้ามาก็อาจจะมีภาวะที่แตกต่างกันภรรยาก็อาจจะพยายามทำลายชิ้นส่วนโดยทิ้งไปในชักโครกทอยเลทหรือว่าโยนไปให้สัตว์ทาน
สำนวนไทยที่เราพูดว่าตัดอวัยวะเพศหรือตัดเจ้าโรคให้เป็ดกินก็เพราะว่าบ้านของเราจะเลี้ยงเป็ดเลี้ยงไก่ไว้ใต้ถุนเนี่ยเป็ดพวกเนี่ยก็บอกกินจะกินมันจะมาแหกกันบ่อยนะบอก
แล้วก็เหมือนเป็นการแพร่ระบาดของการตัดอวัยวะเพศชายทั้งประเทศมีการต่ออวัยวะเพศชายประมาณ100 รายครับน่าจะเป็นว่าเกือบจะไม่เกิดการนี้แต่ว่าก็ยังมีอยู่เพิ่งจะเกิดเหตุการณ์เมื่อสักปีที่แล้วครับ
Communities where there's a spate of those types of crimes can definitely have copycat elements. We are all a product of the times that we're living in, the culture that we're living in, and the media that we are all consuming. Violent media travels globally in ways that other forms of media does not, because you don't need subtitles to see that a person is killing someone or hurting someone or whatever type of physical violence. So when we have a media depiction of an act like that, it's out there and it's everywhere.
I couldn't even turn the television on. Or people were talking about me. I was followed everywhere. The moment that I left my house, there was no way to get away from that.
So why did this case attract so much attention? To remember, the world in 1993 was very different. 25 news channels were in their infancy. Sky News was only 4 or 5 years old. CNN a little bit older than that. We can call TV in America, which meant that people could watch Lorena's testimony live on their television. We're used to this now, but back then this was pretty much pioneering stuff. And then the idea of a woman cutting off her husband's penis and throwing it over a coal was almost like something from a horror film. That is an image that's never going to go away.
In case of my ex-husband, there is a detachment of a penis. I don't know how to put it gently. But there's a big fuss about it.
Her act was extraordinarily shocking in ways that it shouldn't have been so shocking. Because if you really stop to think about the percentage of TV shows and films where women's dead or harmed bodies are displayed in so many different ways, why is it so shocking when a woman hurts a man's body? And just the fact that it's the penis, it's most definitely an unhealthy obsession with what is just a body part.
It may be because the media at the time was larger than back then, and that therefore the focus was on the penis rather than the context of what had driven this woman to behave in this very extreme way.
I think the public, society missed the essence of what this whole story was about.
We're blinded by the myth of the penis. If you think about it, if you have a man walking down the street naked, engaging in exhibitionism, generally the thought is that man is a predator, that man is threatening. If you see a woman walking down the street naked, what do you think? You think, oh, she could be, she's walking down the street naked, she is putting herself in a situation to be a victim. I mean, we do that even if a woman's wearing a short skirt, let alone being, naked walking down the street. Why do we not teach girls and women that if a man's walking down the street naked like that, instead of being afraid, why wouldn't the first thought be, he's vulnerable?
Well, I've never experienced losing my penis ever, but it feels to me like this is your manhood, this is your sense of who you are as a man, and this is your power. It's something that is so fundamental to our identity of who we are that for somebody to cut it off is almost the worst thing you can do to a man. Somebody else might have just stabbed him in the heart and killed him. This is what she did. So why did she do it?
This is my story. After you see my story, after you collect all of the facts, then you can judge me. I was 17 years old when I first came to the United States. I grew up in Venezuela, and I thought that by coming here, I would have more opportunities, and that was my American dream. Work very hard and find somebody that I can marry, my house, have children, and up until before I met my ex-husband, everything was fine. So I had a stable job. I became a nail technician, and then I met John, the Marine Club. He was he was very charming, he was very kind, and I just fell in love with him. He has this beautiful blue eyes, and I thought, well, this guy's very attractive, like a poster guy for the Marines. Coming from a Catholic background, I never had any boyfriends before. Like I said, I was very young, I was very naive. He was my first love. It was just so innocent and so natural. So yes, it did move quite fast. He invited me to go to the pool one day, and so he just kneeled on the edge of the pool, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I found this ring in the bottom of the pool. Would you marry me?" He found it in the bottom of the pool. It belonged to somebody else. And I said, "Well, I guess yes." So we got married right after I turned 20 years old. There was a very nice, sweet reception at the campground. And then when we finished the reception, he decided to go with the boys to have fun. And I said, where he goes, and he was going for like a couple of hours, maybe 3 hours. He went straight to a straight bar and a prostitution bar. I found out later on that that was going on. I was upset, and I decided to come back to Virginia right away. While I was packing my bags, I saw another suitcase in the trunk of the car, and it was his brother's suitcase. And so his brother was coming with us to live with us. So I just got married. My husband has been going to a strip club and a prostitution bar, and I also just found out that his brother was moving in with us. Those were red flags, big red flags, right? Those were big red flags. But in my sense of just got married, I did not know how to react to that. But to me, the sense of being married, it meant a lot because God said that divorce is not acceptable. So a month after we got married, our anniversary, just 1 month later, I decided to treat ourselves to a steak and potato dinner to a nice restaurant. So I dressed up, and he just had his jeans on when we got to the restaurant. And they didn't let him in because he was wearing jeans. He was not comfortable because of the way how they treated him. So he drank He drank a lot, we doing a lot of shots. I said, John, I'm not having fun, let's go home. He was already drunk. He insisted of driving back home. So he drove, but when we were in the highway, he was driving like so aggressive that he almost hit a car. So I grabbed the steering wheel because I was so afraid. And when I dropped the steering wheel, he decided to punch me in my chest and in my stomach. Have you ever been punched in the stomach? It's like the air was out of your stomach and you can't breathe. And that was the very first time he punched me. And when we got home, he pulled me out. He grabbed my hair. He dragged me into the apartment and continued beating me up. The escalation of abuse, it not only was physical, like bruises in my arms, in my legs, in my shoulders, in my face, in my head, but it escalated to the point that I was raped. And in a healthy relationship, yes, you have arguments, but not to the point that your husband is gonna beat you up or rape you. He made me feel that I was his property. You're scared and you're trapped in this situation that there's no way out. And I tried to get away from it, but he told me, no matter where you go, I'm always going to follow you. How can a person live like that?
The most common refrain that we hear is, "Why didn't you leave?" My name is Harriet Bistridge, and I am the founder and director of the Centre for Women's Justice. My special area of law is around justice and violence against women, and we know that those that work around coercive control and around the build-up of violence and entrapment in a relationship know that is often completely not an option. Leaving a relationship is sometimes the most dangerous point of a relationship, and research certainly shows that many women are killed at the point that they are attempting to leave a relationship. So that is a real fact. But even if they don't necessarily perceive that as the most dangerous point, they just may be so completely dependent on that man and that existence and that identity that they see no way to exist separately.
People say, why she didn't leave? Why she is not able to pick up her things and go? Well, it's not easy. This pattern of abuse, it comes with an outburst of violence. And then he will come back and say, I'm sorry, I apologize, and I will believe him. Right? And then there's a honeymoon phase. And then it'll start all over again. So when people are talking about why she didn't leave, it's an insult.
It's not just that I just went back cut someone's penis off. There were things that led up to it. So my mom left when I was 2. I don't remember the first 2 years of my life living with her. That's when Eric stepped in, my father.
On his face, a daughter cutting off her father's private part. It's obvious that there's something sexual going on. I mean, you want to kill your dad, you stab him in the neck. I mean, there's plenty of ways to take your father out. Cutting off his penis is usually not at the top of someone's list when they want to take their father out. My name is Arthur Agdala. 32 years I've been involved in the local practice of law.